If you're building backlinks the way every SEO guru has taught you, you're actually making it harder to rank in the top 3. And you're burning money on tactics that work against you. I discovered this after promising a personal injury lawyer in New Orleans top 3 rankings in 120 days, or I'd refund every penny. That was 9 years ago, and they're still ranked in the top 3 today. Not because of some complicated link scheme, but because of 2 specific types of links that cost them less than most SEOs spend on one premium backlink. So in this video, you're going to learn why the link building mindset that keeps most SEOs chasing shiny objects is actually designed to keep you broke and your clients on page 2. The only 2 types of links that actually matter to Google's algorithm, and why one costs less than your monthly coffee budget. And I'll show you the exact AI prompt my agency uses to find high authority local links while your competitors are still waiting for email responses that never come. So why do so many SEOs get trapped chasing these expensive shortcuts? Why are people in my school community constantly asking me about CTR manipulation tools, link wheels, expired domains? It comes down to this. It's the silver bullet thinking. They hear about a flashy new trick and they think this is going to be the magic shortcut. But most of these tactics just burn your budget and your time. I've seen people drop $5,000 on expired domain auctions thinking they just found the holy grail, when the strategies that actually work cost a fraction of that. The reason people get sucked into this is they want to feel like they're outsmarting the system, but you're trying to trick one of the most advanced trust-finding algorithms on the planet. Now, there's one specific type of organization in every city in the United States that's desperate for your money, and they'll give you an incredibly valuable link, and a lot of your competitors don't even know they exist. I'll show you what that is after I tell you about my biggest failure in link building. When I first started doing SEO, this was back when I barely knew what SEO stood for. I was exactly like everyone else I've talked about here, obsessed with shortcuts and tricks. So one of my very first clients, I promised them 3 PBN links per week because that's what all the forums said worked. Well, I delivered those links and their entire site got de-indexed in a couple months. So they fired me, obviously. I mean, that was the right call when I got their site de-indexed. Now, I did manage to get their site re-indexed, which took weeks, by the way, and I realized that I needed to completely change my approach to local SEO. But that failure taught me something that almost no one talks about in the SEO world. The problem wasn't just that PBNs are risky. The problem was my entire mindset. I was trying to trick Google instead of understanding what Google actually wants to see. So while I was scrambling to fix that disaster of my own creation, I started researching what actually works for local businesses, not what worked in some sketchy form. I won't name names, but a lot of you have probably been there, but what Google's algorithm was actually designed to reward. So here's what I discovered. There are only 2 types of links that actually matter to Google's algorithm for local SEO. The first type, and this is relatively new, I call this first type of link the not AI slop signal. So this link, it's not about building trust with Google. It's not about getting rank juice or whatever you want to call it. This link purely exists to tell Google's algorithm that a human looked at this content and thought that it was worth linking to. Now, I'm going to be honest with you about this. I do use PBNs at my agency for this. Sometimes. They're fast and they're cheap, but this could really be almost any type of link. Blog comments, guest posts, directory submissions, even form links. The quality isn't super critical here because that's not the point. These links aren't to build trust. All that we're doing here is showing Google that someone took the time to link to this page. Without that signal, especially with the prevalence of AI-generated slop, Google often just assumes that your content is automated garbage and never properly crawls and never properly indexes it. So think of it like this. If you publish a page and no one ever links to it, Google questions whether that page, whether that content is actually valuable to its searchers. But if there's even one link, even a basic one, Google's algorithm gets the signal that, okay, someone found this worth mentioning. And now that Google keeps updating its algorithm to fight everyone else who's using AI to pump out a ton of content, Google really relies on this validation to separate real content from slop. So the second type of link is completely different. And this one is what really moves the needle: local trust signals. So these are links from real organizations in your local area that Google recognizes as legitimate community connections. And most agencies get this completely wrong. They're trying to get links from Forbes or some other massive authority site. But for local SEO, relevance beats authority every single time. Now, before I show you an AI prompt that will find these local trust signals for you, I want to finish the story I started. Remember that personal injury lawyer I was talking about? The one who's still paying me a monthly retainer 9 years later? Not because I'm holding the rankings hostage, but because the strategy works so well, they don't want to risk losing it. They're making way more sitting in the top 3 than I'm charging them. Just a couple months ago, they won a settlement of $3 million from a Google search lead. Most lawyers take a third. I am not charging them enough. But here's the part that's going to make you mad. Their total monthly link building budget is less than what most agencies spend on a premium guest post. And this is where AI comes in. So let me show you the exact prompt that my agency uses today to find local sponsorship opportunities in any city. I used to have an employee who would spend most of their time doing this, then ChatGPT rolled out deep research mode. This is the same prompt that we use for paying clients, and it finds opportunities your competitors usually will never discover. It's quite a long prompt, so I'm not going to read it. I'll flash it on the screen, go ahead and freeze frame, have AI transcribe it, or join my school community. Link is in the description. That prompt and every other prompt I talk about on YouTube are in that community, as well as 2,700 SEO professionals. I answer every question that's asked. Join it if you're interested. Anyway, I ran this prompt for a client in Austin. The lowest sponsorship tier was $250, and it came with a link from the college website. Now, stop and think about that for a second. A .edu link from a local college for $250. That's the kind of link that most SEOs would spend thousands of dollars for. Obviously, we sponsored it immediately. Not only did my client get an incredibly powerful local link, but they also got to attend that TEDx event in person and network with other local business owners. And within a week of sponsoring that and the link appearing on that college's website, their local rank map got a lot greener. Remember those other organizations I mentioned that your competitors don't know about? Youth sports leagues. They're desperate for sponsors. They need the funding. They'll put your client's logo and their link on their website for a couple of $100. At the end of the season, you might even get a plaque with the whole softball team wearing your client's logo on their jerseys, thanking them. Hang that in the waiting room. This AI prompt finds dozens of these in every city. And this is what I mean when I say most SEOs are doing this backwards. They're chasing expensive tricks while missing the obvious opportunities right in their backyard. But you might be thinking that this sounds too simple to work. So let me tell you again about that personal injury lawyer. Here's exactly what happened. So while I was setting up one of the founding partners' home systems, he casually mentioned that they're struggling with their online presence. They'd hired multiple agencies over the years and nothing was working. So I pitched him on SEO. Like I said, I promised him top 3 rankings in 120 days or I'd refund every penny. It was aggressive, but I believed in what I could deliver. And they said yes, because it was a very, very compelling offer. So for the first 2 months, I was doing all the standard copycat link building, manually reaching out for guest posts, directory submissions that their competitors had, all done by me personally. Like I said, this was the early days. I was getting some traction, some improvements, but not enough to crack that top 3. Then I started joining chambers of commerce, plural, not just one. I joined every single Chamber of Commerce within 80 miles of their address. Of course, the New Orleans, the Jefferson Parish, the West Bank Chamber, the Mississippi Gulf Coast Chamber, even smaller suburban ones. Every Chamber of Commerce that I could find. Less than a month, after getting dozens of Chamber of Commerce links, they shot up to the top 3 9 years ago. And they've been ranked there pretty much ever since. And that experience changed local SEO for me. I realized that these community trust signals are what Google's algorithm is actually looking for, not some complicated scheme or expensive authority links from Forbes. I don't think joining every chamber in a 70-mile radius is necessary today. My agency is much more strategic about it, and we're basically going to use that AI prompt I gave you to find diverse local opportunities. Beyond just the chamber, we're looking for sponsorships, community events, local charities, but the principle is exactly the same. But all these high-quality local links won't help if your client's website is built backwards for local SEO. I see this all the time. Agencies spending months building perfect link profile where their client's homepage title title tag just says home, and they wonder why nothing's moving. Now remember, those links exist to boost your Google Business Profile rankings, but Google uses a blended algorithm. Your website's organic ranking directly impacts your GBP ranking. If your website's buried on page 8, it's going to be really hard to rank the GBP. And most local businesses will build their website with a beautiful homepage, but zero topical relevance, random service pages that don't match their Google Business Profile categories, and then weekly blog posts about industry trends instead of location-specific content. Click the video right here where I break down the exact 30-page website structure that ranks local businesses, even in competitive cities like downtown Chicago. I'll show you the AI prompts to build this entire structure in under an afternoon, and why most websites are doing it backwards. When you combine these strategic backlinks with the right website structure, clients will easily pay you $2,000 a month because you're delivering results that most SEOs simply can't.